What is going on there, citizens of the Reject Nation? We are going to watch The Rings of Power episode 5 today. John, how are you?
I'm excited. I can't wait. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. All right, quick recap. Episode 1, meh, in the middle. And then episode 2, liked. Episode 3, pretty boring. Episode 4, best one so far. Really enjoyed that one. Let's see what episode 5 has to offer us today. Ladies and gentlemen, leave a like. Also, do that thing where you subscribe and click that bell. And full-length reaction watch-alongs where you sync up with your own copy, meaning a time code involved for Super Sexy Rejects at our Patreon page. And over there, we cover several shows exclusively with reaction highlights and watch-alongs included. Lastly, the team of Prepper, thank you for helping us edit down these videos. Let's do it. Let's return to Middle Earth.
And at the first brush of the oak leaves, we head to the grove. A whole orchard popping with fall apples, plums, apricots, carrots. You'll love it.
Oh yeah, the farmer's market downtown.
So the only trouble is there's 100 perils between here and there. Anything that'll kill you.
I'm peril.
You're good. Because you're here to help.
I like the switching of the POV shots on that. Up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
I trade all I've known for the unknown ahead. Call to me, lands far away.
I like this song.
That's one thing about this universe in particular I appreciate is that musical aspect. Everybody's got songs they sing.
Who are these guys? More new characters?
Yep. Knock, knock, let the devil in. He's like the anti-Nazgul.
How does it feel? Like fire. I wish you could feel like I do. Summon the legions. It is time.
Orcs they eventually evolve to be able to be in the sunlight, right? Fellowship of the Ring, they were in the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, probably once that center core of dark power is really firing.
We've been ordered to abandon this tower and swear fealty to their commander. Who among you will stand and fight?
Yeah, why not?
We got no choice.
Crew.
I say be better to take our chances bowing to the supposed enemy.
Together we can survive this.
Follow me, and together we will.
Follow me to follow someone else.
The most consistent thing about the crowds in this show is they are easily swayed with just a couple of sentences.
Yes. They are a truly angry mob. Wow.
Damn, look at that horse.
Yeah.
Well, you were going west. Not anymore. Not till I've done something worthy of Numenor.
But we've far more volunteers than we could ever hope to accommodate.
Slip me to the front of the line.
Spoiled shit.
I'm ready to serve.
But you had your chance.
And you made your choice.
Asshole door.
And where did the enemy head next?
Further south, I should think. Towards the watchtower of Ostirith.
My thanks, Lord Halbrand. I'm certain your fellowship will prove just as invaluable once we make landfall.
Fellowship!
Oh.
Galadriel informed us of your aspiration to unite your people.
Did she now?
I trust she was not speaking in haste.
Galadriel's a goddamn manipulator.
You use me.
I have just convinced Numenor to send 5 ships and 500 men to aid your people and place a crown upon your head. Many might assume you used me.
Ooh.
Ooh. Power dynamics.
Find another head to crown.
Oh, God. Come on, man.
Keep moving!
Easier in the dark.
Harfoots must be jacked. There's a lot of manual labor moving around like this.
Well, I think they're kind of like ants. No, seriously, they're tidy, but they're strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're builders, and they migrate and stuff.
They all serve a central queen, controls them with pheromones.
It's as plain as lip fungus. He's responsible, isn't he? The big fella.
What precisely do you expect me to do about it?
What you ought to have done at the camp. Take their wheels and leave them.
Uh-oh.
The big guy's been doing good. He's going to show that he's doing good in this episode. So you just wait, lady, before you pass judgment.
You see what a tremendous asset this guy could be.
You nearly caused me heart to burst.
Malva.
We saw footprints.
In the mud.
Not one at a time, please.
As I was saying.
Oh, no. It's got to be like a wild boar or something.
Or one of the people screaming woke culture at this show.
Here they come now.
Come on, where's my giant? Where's my Gandalf or Sauron or whatever?
Come on, mystery legacy character.
He's good.
My man. Not peril.
Nicely done. They're the three hyenas from the Lion King.
Scram. A trio of trespassers.
Inte altiastaina anat kotosin.
Kanasta ielda asua peanta noti mapatienen.
To this 80s music.
It's raining montage.
It's the eye of the Sauron. It's the fear of the night.
I will keep it strong and simple. Stab, twist, gut.
Oh, even I could do that.
That's a totally whole new style of fighting.
Anyone that does, I will promote to lieutenant.
Ooh, I don't exactly know what that position is, but yeah, buddy.
I'll take a rank.
That's not the gut. You're not going for the gut.
Yeah. Bad aim, my guy.
Kind of looks like Dwayne Johnson with a fro.
Yeah. This guy's going to play a younger Dwayne Johnson in something.
Swordsmanship is about balance rather than strength. Fight with your feet, not your arms.
Oh, awesome. She's like Zorro.
Slice one of their shirts off. Whoa, yeah.
I go for the finger.
Oh, smart. Yeah, they don't have any hilt guards.
You're ruining this man's shop.
Don't plant roots. Keep moving.
Are you training or showing off?
Yes.
It's actually pretty impressive choreography.
I know.
Never trust brute force to best an orc.
Woo.
Well done, Lieutenant.
Way to go, Dwayne.
Well, it took like 15 of you.
You should all be lieutenant.
What makes you think Miriel's mind and my own are not as one in this?
Because my father would sooner die than take orders from an elf.
You speak boldly, boy.
We need more of that around here.
Soon we will save the low men of Middle-earth, lift them up, and give them the king they've long awaited. A king who will be forever in our debt. Now contemplate, if you can, how that might benefit us.
Long term, my dude.
Don't go to Middle-earth. All that awaits you there.
What, Father? What awaits me?
Death.
Darkness.
Oh.
I mean, it's not that bad.
It cuts to him. Maybe he's
the dark.
Hey.
Whoa. Nori.
Wow.
I mean, you didn't. You could see that it was growing.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to do good, but there's a darkness following him.
Yeah, maybe it's in his nature.
I would think our dwarven friend far too stout of heart to be offended by an honest inquiry.
I have an honest inquiry for you.
Honestly, inquire my foot up your ass.
The table.
Why do you ask?
We reserve its use for the most sacred purposes to our honored dead.
Yikes. I bought it at a flea market.
Please forgive our sacrilege, Lord Durin. We shall have to send it home with you so it can be treated with the proper respect.
He just manipulated you into getting that table.
Dude, what kind of king are you?
I like Durin a lot, but I also feel like he'd be the kind of friend where I'd be worried that I'm doing something wrong around him all the time.
Yeah, I know. Everything is an affront to the dwarves somehow.
Are you familiar with the Song of the Roots of Ithaglir?
It speaks of a battle, not over honor or duty, but over a tree, within which some claim was hidden the last of the lost Silmarils.
Uh-oh. Silmarillion.
On one side fought an elven warrior, on the other a Balrog of Morgoth, channeled all his hatred into the tree to destroy it.
Balrog.
But despite our every effort, our decline has only quickened. The blight upon this tree is but an outer manifestation of an inner reality.
Root rot.
Did the dwarves find the ore or not?
I swore an oath. It is by such things our very souls are bound. I do not intend to let mine slip away on the basis of mere hope.
Yes or no?
Just blink or something.
You're only apologizing because you think, now that I've been promoted, I can get you on the expedition.
You're right.
Fine, you get a free hit. Jaw, gut, your choice, one hit.
3.
2. Actually,
Nice.
Damn.
What's Homie hoping to find out? Or is he just sabotaging this?
Yep. He's gonna make sure that the whole fleet burns down.
are you stowing away?
Are you setting the ship on fire?
No. Whoa.
Wait,
He just
walk
slipped
into that crane.
Wow.
Oh, you could use this as a way to get yourself on that boat that just blew up.
I tried to stop this guy.
He was in a fishing boat. A cask must have gone up.
A cask?
Oh.
He could have just left, but he saved my life.
Captain!
I love your son.
Finally, something you believe in.
I'll validate you.
Finally earned something a day in your life. And now he's got a political bargaining chip.
This council will reconvene at first light to make a final decision. See to it Lord Halbrand attends.
We know you're gonna go.
This is not a very sturdy small table.
High King deceived me. Well, that now our people are doomed unless I break an oath and betray a friend.
Go talk to him again.
The night your father set sail, I heard your mother pleading with him not to go, asking him, imploring him. Why must it be him? And you know what he said?
He wants to get away from his son.
You guys are needy.
He's the only one who could do it.
Episode's theme, satisfied dads. Queen or dad.
Isildur's
dad. Elrond's dad. Durin's dad.
The elders of the Harfoot tribe. It's essentially everyone's mom and dad.
Stop fighting me, and together let us fight them.
You don't know what I did before I ended up on that raft. You don't know how I survived.
Oh, he was a servant for them.
Whose dagger was it, Galadriel? Who was it you lost?
My brother.
What happened to him?
He was killed.
These POV shots, man.
So this is about vengeance.
One cannot satisfy thirst by drinking seawater.
Then what is it? Why do you keep fighting?
Because I cannot stop.
Bloodthirst.
My closest friend conspired with the king to exile me, because I believed they could no longer distinguish me from the evil I was fighting.
Dude, this woman's disturbed.
I mean, you live that long.
There is no peace to be found for you here, and nor for me. No lasting peace in any path, but that which lies across the sea.
Gotta fight.
I have fought for centuries seeking to earn mine. This is how you earn yours.
Let's see, that is how you lead, not drag. You gotta move them with their hearts before you move them with your vision.
The Sauron!
Is that confirmation?
You are Sauron, are you not?
Maybe not.
I'll serve you then! Whoever you are!
Only blood can bind.
Well, did he do it?
Definitely killed him.
I've seen this before.
Oh, cool. Whoa.
Gnarly.
Our enemy knows your son has what he needs to enact it.
Your son's special?
Yeah, he's meant for big things.
No! Bow to the enemy, and you take away everything. From your son, and his sons after him.
This conversation should be in private.
Yeah.
And when they march upon us, this tower will fall.
That's an unnecessary amount of people. Don't need that many orcs.
You know,
Kill
just-
like 15 people? Come on. It's overkill.
You'd be a much more efficient army.
You made it up, didn't you?
This has been wanting a new table for years, so.
What'd I tell you?
I did not know it. But I came for Mithril. Without it, my kind must either abandon these shores by spring or perish. Our immortal souls will dwindle, slowly diminishing.
There's a tree I could show you.
All we are is dust in the wind, dude.
The fate of the entire elven race is in your hands.
Whose hands?
Yours.
Thank me after we find a way to convince my father. Can we please get moving? It's a long journey back. And all this sunlight is starting to give me a sour stomach.
Burden halved.
Tell Disa the table's from me.
Don't push your luck, Elf.
God, you freaking eavesdropping elves.
I know. Using those ears of yours to cheat.
I really like Elrond and Durin a lot.
Oh yeah, they're the heart and soul of the show.
Oh no, don't mislead us.
Dude.
To
no
show you don't do it.
Ah. I mean, he does look good.
And before we set out, I should tell you all what happened when before Galadriel found me.
So just stop for a second, please.
Report to the Horsemaster.
Thought I was in cavalry.
You are. Stable sweep.
Nah. Love you, man. Now go shovel some horse shit.
Oh yeah, that's what you live for, Galadriel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you live for.
Back
Battle.
in the armor, getting that
Yeah.
armor. The wind in my back.
I know, she's hot, isn't she? Isn't she Isildur? Yeah.
You got this, man.
Hard to move that armor, isn't it, Galadriel?
And big old shoulder pads, elbow pads.
Zippity-doo-dah. Here we are.
Zippity-A.
So I'm going to take my headphones off for a tiny bit while you talk.
Okay.
It's just been on for a long time in my ear.
Your ears probably are sore.
It really hurts.
Yes.
Shot some stuff earlier. So why don't you go ahead and talk for a little bit and
Sure.
Tell what you think of the episode. Honest thoughts all around.
Honest thoughts all around. I thought this was a decent episode. It's not every week I come in hoping for like a slam dunk. And last week is still as close as we've gotten. But, I'm here for it. And I'm not like in love with anything, but there's a lot I really like. I agree with what you said. Elrond and Durin are thus far clearly far and away the heart and soul of the show, and I loved their moments. I feel like even in little brief moments, those two managed to wring a lot of richness and a lot of life out of the circumstances, both big and small, and that helps to really ground things in a sense of, I don't know. I feel like when you get too far into just the desperation and just the burden of purpose, you can lose the idea that what we're really fighting for is these little, human homey things, is our bonds and our, good-natured ribbing back and forth and, visiting a friend after a long time and, rejoicing in each other's prosperity, all those things, and those things are alive within those characters. And I feel like the rest of the time, like I said, the world remains beautifully realized. The cast remains, I think, well chosen. I like everybody. But yeah, they are far and away the most alive thing about the show to me. And then certain characters get moments to be like that. But this episode kind of called my attention toward like the way they proportion everything out, because I'm curious as to what like I imagine most writers' rooms like this have to have a big board with a lot of cards on it, and you got your 5-season arc probably vaguely sketched out, and then you've got your first season all broken down. And I'm like, what were the proportions for where they decided to place all these different stories? Because, like we get the Harfoots back in this episode, and a couple things happen with them, but it kind of felt like they went, oh, yeah, they weren't here last week, so we got to check in on them really quick. All right, so now let's move on. And, you've got a whole bunch of other trouble brewing in most every other pocket of the episodes. But you're back with the headphones on, so I don't want to take the whole thing before you've had it.
Go ahead. If you're on a roll, go for it.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I like seeing things with Adar and wondering if he's Sauron, and I don't know. It's everything. It's weird. A part of me wishes I like everywhere we cut to, and I like again all the actors that populate it and the world itself. But sometimes I feel like if we could really treat each of these settings, I don't know what the solution would be, but basically treat each of these settings kind of like they do with Elrond and Durin, because with them too, we get personal moments and circumstances, but we also get the big picture stuff. And I feel like with most of the other plot lines, like with Bronwyn and Arondir, I feel like that is a lot of the big strokes. We see get another rousing speech, and then you get the people dividing into half, and it's like that moment where they go and swear fealty to Adar, to Sauron, or whoever you are. I don't care. I'm loyal to you. Like, that was interesting, but I feel like that moment could have had that sequence could have felt more like a whole part of the episode rather than just one of many scenes and one of many moments that seems like it's gonna amount to some kind of big punch, and then it just transitions into they're marching, and then there's a whole lot of them, and that's kind of a scary image. And you've got everything going on in Numenor, which is not like I appreciate the arguments back and forth and the debate, but it is falling into that hole for me with a lot of these plot lines where it's like, okay, I get it. Our Galadriel is she's suffering this great loss, and she can't let go of her fight, and she needs to, rouse everybody to her cause. But I feel like in some of those intimate moments, they could make up so much ground by doing a little bit of personal character work instead of just checking back in with the core wound. And then, I don't know. I feel like some of these debates should be a little more rich and a little more hard won, because I feel like then they would feel more cathartic. But what do you think, G?
I thought it was the best episode we've gotten so far.
Really?
No.
I was like, I'm ready for a surprise.
No, I agree. I mean, I thought the episode was fine. I don't have a disdain for it. I wasn't I wasn't bored. No, I'm not exactly thrilled or excited during it.
Yeah,
it was like it's fine. I still feel like we're 5 episodes in, and how many episodes are do we have confirmation?
It's an 8 episode.
It's 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like by now we should be in much more compelling territory, and maybe you are, and we just aren't. I think what dawned on me, because you bring up good points, and there were 2 things that I thought of in terms of the writers with this. I'm like, I imagine there's a very great outline they have for this, and I think what happened, what kind of holds this show back in certain episodes, is there's a lack of compelling qualities in the actual immediate execution of these scenes. I'm like, on paper, this seems like the right scene to do. This seems like the right step. Like, yes, okay, you've convinced the queen. Now we got to convince the people. And the people, are they going to be on board? And there's a little bit of political upheavals you got to go through as well with certain people on the council. And what does this all mean? So I think, like, yeah, okay, so we got to have a debate about it. Now, the thing that's happening is, like, you said that you thought, like, some of this more personal stuff and everything being debated about could be more rich, and I agree. That part of it is not exactly rich to me. It seems very kind of, I don't want to say perfunctory. It's like you can see, to me, the direction of it was just so obvious of everything that was about. It was like, okay, we know where we're gonna. Like by the end of the episode, they're all gonna set sail. So like,
yeah,
and it didn't. And like, we need to throw a couple of things in there, and then there's some of the things about looming threats. They feel so generic. It's usually just, there's a darkness. There's darkness coming. And I felt like the thing that's really missing for this particular series, when you are having these moments that are supposed to feel like monumental and sweeping and epically heroic on journeys that they're going to be setting forth, the thing that kind of misses for me on these episodes is really the feeling of, there's some dark shit ahead, though. There's some, like, terrible shit ahead. Or like, even I've heard theories about the about the Bronwyn character, that, and this is just a theory, like, and by theory, I mean, I've seen, like, the circle and the question mark of that he might be you remember when Éowyn in Return of the King cuts off that guy's head? I'm no man. That scene.
I am no man. Yeah.
And, like, that might be him.
Oh.
Like I've heard a theory about that, and it's not confirmed. I haven't seen think pieces.
Wait, you mean Halbrand?
Which one's Bronwyn?
She's the mom of Theo.
My bad. Yeah, right. Bronwyn's the mom of Theo. The one who's like, I know I'm not the king. Halbrand. The guy with the men people who apparently did some shady stuff.
Terrible stuff in the past.
Well, they succumbed to Sauron, or who they thought was Sauron.
Sauron, yeah.
So they, with Halbrand. So Halbrand?
Halbrand, yeah.
Halbrand, God damn it. Halbrand. Like, if he's just destined to be an Aragorn path, like, okay, it's cliche. And if there was some type of hint, kind of what they're applying with this storyline that should be more interesting, but it's just not quite as interesting as you're hoping it, with the giant guy among the Harfoots.
Yeah.
Of like, is this guy good or bad? Like, which direction is this going with him? Like, that is kind of, it's weird because for him, they are doing the thing that I'm like, that is unknown if he's going to be good or bad, yet I'm not as interested in it as I'd like to be.
And it's one of the richest prospects because you're like, oh, a character who's being nurtured by someone who's going to lead them along the path of goodness, but what if that's just in their blood, just is the darkness.
Right. So you have that character who has that quality, yet is not that interesting as I hope to be. And personally, obviously, it's all personal, all subjective. Whereas with like any of our main players setting sail, it's like, I want to, other than just, we're gonna go into battle. Like it's the only dark thread is the obvious, but it's like what can make it really compelling is what will become of these people. That's the fear. And you mean, take like Lord of the Rings, it's just one example you can pull from, is what will become of Frodo. Is he going to, it's a test of like, will he descend to the darkness? Will he give in to the ring? And here it is, and I think they're trying to plant some of those seeds, sort of. Like, I don't really know, other than there's the only threat is like, yeah, they might die in battle, But I think the real thing that makes things feel more personal is what will become of these people. And is there a threat there of what might become of them? Like, we know because of who Galadriel is that eventually she'll become like, oh my God, she's not as fucking bitchy and angsty of an elf. You know,
she's going to become even more wise down the line.
Yeah,
being clever.
No, Elrond's going to become like, turn to Hugo Weaving apparently. So,
you can't see it.
Who's the more accurate interpretation of who Elrond is?
Yeah,
stoic ass Elrond, or Elrond with a personality. Like, which one's the more accurate one?
He cracks a smile once in a while to the hobbits, you know.
That freaking those Hobbit and Lord of the Rings movies, he's just like he's Agent Smith.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the main missing quality for me. Whereas I kind of get some of that with Elrond and Durin. Of what I'm talking about, of what will become of them, what will become of their friendship. Like, that's such murky territory. Like, obviously the Mithril is such, like, we have an awareness of what becomes of Mithril, but what becomes of them as friends? Yeah. What's going to happen to their relationship? How murky and soiled will their friendship become? Because you got the dad of Durin, who's like, I don't trust elves at all, and no, don't. This is our greatest secret. Yeah,
it's the secret to our restoration.
And then King Elf has like doesn't seem to have any real respect for the dwarves, but just wants something from them, and in order so they can live. And then that can get very ugly. And so that's the part of it that makes it really compelling to me when it comes to the Mithril is, shit, this could land into like, what's going to happen with the elves and the dwarves and what will happen with Durin and Elrond. Like, that's what I mean by it's not about, are they going to fight in a battle together? It's like, what's going to become of them?
Well, that's the most to me, that was the most interesting thing of the episode, because it makes the best combination of the macro stakes of this could be the end of the elves, and then the micro personal stakes of I made this oath, I'm taking this seriously, and also I don't necessarily trust everyone who's advising me. And that makes a real relatable and also very just palpable situation between them, and it makes a lot of room for tension and release. And I think with those characters, they also understand the value of release, because through the Lord of the Rings trilogy and beyond there, we start to kind of fall off and take the wrong lessons. But through that trilogy, I feel like you frequently have these sweeping, epic, grandiose and, very gravitational moments, these gravitas-heavy moments. But you also have always some level of brevity and a very personal touch in between those things. Like, no matter when a huge battle is when characters are prepping for a huge battle, you'll oftentimes get like a little aside moment of humor or something a little more real to remind you. And I feel like that's, again, them talking about that whole dilemma is the one place where both of those stakes feel present together at the same time.
Yeah. And I think this was so much of this is kind of lacking in is truly getting a little bit more in your show. You should get a little bit more personal from time to time. And I feel like they're attempting it, though. That's the thing of why I'm not saying they're not doing it. I think they're definitely trying. It just doesn't feel like the execution of it is hitting home. And again, all subjective opinions here. Just for myself, it doesn't feel like it's quite hitting the mark that it sets out to hit with having more of a personal effect. Because you kind of see it all over this episode. Like, we didn't really land anywhere different than we did last episode. Other than they left. Yeah. Like, they agreed last episode and now they're leaving. In terms of like the main big plot. And of course you have, I forget the name of the camp with that Arondir's watching over.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called. Because some parts of this episode felt edited funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like it moved slow, but like fast at the same time. Like you would just like things would just skip ahead in time, or you'd start in the middle of something where I'm like kind of like a little bit of a lead into this moment a little bit more, kind of like Durin sitting at the table with the elves, or the way how some shifts in choices happen, like with Bronwyn and like, hey, we all got to stick together. And then the next scene, oh, fucking everything sucks. We're losing.
And now
I'm
let's
like,
look at the tower and cut away.
and I understand some
Yeah.
plot stuff happened in between, like half the people leaving, so that can make you sad. You're worried about your son. Like I understand that. Like but that's what I mean by the editing of it. Kind of just sometimes cut off some things that I think could have just made some things breathe better. So we had this weird mix of this is a slow episode, but it's also kind of a jarringly fast episode at times where I'm like, that richness that you kind of crave for, just a little bit more ingredients is being left off the plate.
I feel
you got to speed this up a little bit.
I feel like maybe the key, and not to slight the Harfoots in particular, I feel like maybe the key would just be to leave one of the places, plot lines, etc. Leave one of the threads mostly out each episode to give us time to maybe miss it, and B, to give a little more time to the bunch of other things we're focusing on. Because in a way, those editing nicks and the more surface level qualities of some of the arguments, they make the map feel smaller, and it works against how beautifully produced everything is, because it feels like, okay, we got to cut back to Numenor, and we got to cut back to here, and we got to cut back to here. We got to have all these conversations to get the plot. This was the most I felt like, okay, we got to get the plot going places. Like the guy blowing up the ship. I was like, there are aspects of this that could be interesting, and I get that not all the people are on board, but it feels like everybody's on board, and now the ship is blowing up, and that's our device to get Isildur onto the into this part of the story. This is the solution.
Isildur a little more.
I do like him.
I didn't really give two shits about him in any of the other episodes, and this is the first time. Like, by the time he like hugged his friends at the end and like sweep the horse shit, like that was. I was like, all right, I think I'm getting on board for this guy.
Yeah, they made him work for it, and I think that works for the episode.
Still very like the most repetitive shit about this kid. It was like same thing with like Galadriel. Very repetitive types of dialogue for them.
And I feel like it works against her as an actress sometimes. And it was like in that moment, I just keep wanting them to go a little further with everything. And to maybe, I wonder if too there's some kind of beholdenness to I'm sure there is to some degree, a beholden quality to the language and to the perceived demeanor of these stories. But if they would maybe give a little more voice to each character, because I remembered, I like her performances a lot. And when she's talking to Halbrand and he's confronting her and they're trying to convince each other she turns away as she's touching back on that core wound of her brother and stuff. And you see like her eyes start to tear up. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is drawing me in. I'm more than interested now. I'm actually being drawn in and I'm actually being compelled. And it's good they did that. But I feel like especially with her as a character, like in this episode, you mostly just have to watch her maneuvering people into getting on board with her again.
And that same kind of barely opening her mouth, wide-eyed delivery.
Again, yeah, and it takes actors who I feel like it is a pitfall that I found throughout the Hobbit movies, and I do find is kind of ailing this, is you can't be too stoic and too... I know the elves they age way different than everybody, and their perspective is totally different because of that, but I think there's still a way, as we saw in the Lord of the Rings movies. Everyone loved friggin' Legolas, and he was still kind of laconic and mysterious in ways, but you still got that character oomph. And I feel like here...
I'll be honest, if Legolas was the lead, I would be kind of bored.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You don't, and you have
He's
to also
great
know
in this position he plays.
Yeah, and that's why getting more Legolas in the Hobbit movies isn't necessarily a good thing. But yeah, I don't. Even still, though, I feel like he's got at least the fun back and forth with Gimli. Like if they'd give her something to temper, again. It was like Thor and Oakenshield in those movies is kind of reminding me of what they're doing here. It's like most all of what we check in with you about is kind of the same, stern resolve, and I'm not wavering in my mission. And I just have to fight. Like even the conversation, the debate wasn't that interesting in the writing because it was just like, why fight? I have to fight. Okay, fine. You have to fight.
Well, I think with everyone, whatever emotional point they have put every one of these characters, I feel like everyone just kind of stayed at a very neutral spot of wherever that emotion lies, basically. Like Galadriel is supposed to be the hard-ass, aggressive, difficult to communicate with character, and it's always kind of stayed a little bit in the same realm of that trait. When part of me is like, make her more of a bitch. Like, just go out there and just make her be like, God damn, you are an unreasonable woman. Like, go out there and push it. Like, push that aggression then. Like, push it further. Like, you got some shades of
make us really question if she's going too far.
Yeah, like show that, okay, yeah, this thing's really gotten the best of her. You get why some people like why her people committed mutiny on her.
Yeah,
because the way she is just awful. But then you got to balance it out with like having certain moments where you see that she actually is a good person. But it pushed some of those qualities, And again, like the ones who I think they just nail it with are Durin and Elrond. Like they're the only ones who I'm like, they don't feel neutral to me.
Ever.
Isildur feels very much the same shit. The Harfoots feel that way, other than like Nori being like, oh my God, he almost hurt me.
Even though I walked into this extraordinary situation and put my hand on it.
Clearly he was in a zone and didn't look at me. Some of it starts to feel like it's hitting kind of flat. Like Arondir and Bronwyn, like, man, I wasn't really, that was something I was craving. Like, I like the choice they're making. Again, outline, interesting outline, but there's something about the details that feels like it's lacking, and I can't even, I've lost more words to put my finger on what it is that it's doing. It could be what you're saying, too many plot lines, like early days of Walking Dead and apparently later days of Walking Dead, but not that quite middle part of Walking Dead did a great job at doing that. Or you're like, you don't see your main characters for like a few episodes, Some of the best animes I've ever, like Naruto does an amazing job at like, you're only going to focus on these few characters for a few episodes, and you're not really going to check in with these other people. So sometimes the affect of it, because it is kind of weird, like what you said with the Harfoots, of they're running out all last episode, they're in for like 10 minutes here, and it's spread it over the course of 5 different minutes.
Pretty isolated effect overall.
So it's hard to be affected by what just happened when I'm like, you barely check in with them, so I don't really give a shit because we haven't really had time to breathe with these guys. It's since we last saw them 2 episodes ago, and that part is what is that's what I mean by some of the way they edit it. I think it honestly, some of these issues might come down to they don't have time to truly dive into the debates, the conversations, make the dialogue more enriching, because they do have so many characters they're cutting around to. Like, they just introduced some other people in this episode. I just remembered right now we're standing over the freaking spot where a giant guy landed, and I'm like, who the fuck are these guys?
Androgen M is here.
Yeah, like what are these things? So, yeah, I really didn't hate what we saw, and it was like there were parts I enjoyed, but my hope, the thing I'm holding out hope for, is that, because it seems like they really had to, because they mapped out like several seasons, so maybe they got carried away too much in their outline that you sometimes forget that you got to make each episode really goddamn compelling instead of waiting for the end result for everything to click. So what I'm hoping for is that by the time you get to the final episode, it suddenly makes all of these episodes feel better.
Yeah,
that's my hope. I'm not confident. Like, I have my doubts. I'm not fully sold that by the time we get there, we'll feel that way. I'm waiting to see, like, okay, what happens when we get these big action set pieces that they've been teasing for so long now? Like, what's going to happen when we get there?
And the conflicts are much more fully formed because everyone's just kind of gearing up and hearing whispers and blah, blah.
Yeah, because I really personally don't give a shit about what happens with Numenor. Like, not that. What do I mean by that? I guess what I mean by that is I don't know the people in Numenor, and I don't care. I guess I mean what I said. Like, they're like, oh, these people in Numenor. They like when Isildur's dad is talking with Isildur,
Yeah.
Being like, they fucking, they earned their spots here and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't care. I don't know who these people are. I don't care.
And all I've witnessed them do is be a mob and either be very adversarial or just hop on board for stuff.
Yeah. So I have no sense of the community or even much about the queen other than she's had to make some decisions.
Elrond is the only character in Numenor who actually has the full heart and soul right now.
Elrond is the dad.
Isildur's dad, yeah. Like, whenever he shows up, I'm like, I care about Numenor because of you.
But I think it's because the actor brings it.
Yeah.
The actor has that great, like, British play yet modern quality. Like, you're the kind of actor who could be in a modern day movie or period piece.
And you could be either super stoic or like someone's uncle, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he brings it.
Yeah.
It's like you got plot lines like freaking Isildur's sister. I'm like, well, you're not even a real character.
Where did
like,
this come from?
Why are we giving any attention to this right now? Like,
it felt like a tacked on conflict. I was like, last week they were at least, I don't know. I didn't feel this coming on last week, and then this week I was like, oh, okay. I guess we have to have some kind of other family conflict that we're not going to pay that much attention to.
Yeah, I think there is it is bogged down by too. It is the thing that I think a lot of people had to worry about, is that there are too many character syndrome. Just because even from a writing standpoint, I think even from a writing standpoint, it's hard for you to be like, oh yeah, let me just get fully invested in like the characters' moments right now, and because you're hopping around
a
and
whole
shit.
history and a friggin' war and all this other shit to live up to.
Because you got to do world building and then talk necessary exposition. But the only thing I think they've really got a good grasp, like a solid grasp on, is Elrond and Durin. That is the main thing that I'm like, you keep the plot moving and you keep it character driven. And it's the only time I feel like you're hitting all cylinders with those two. So
yeah.
Whereas the other ones really sway for me.
This show, I would say, a lot of things, maybe even most things to me, are interesting. Occasionally things are very engrossing. And occasionally there are things that don't move me in one way or the other. And my hope is that they will hear some of these criticisms, and then for season 2, everyone has been up in arms about which rights they have and how much of just a fan fiction is this. And to me now, I almost feel like go even further into fan fiction. Like, keep the important continuity points you need to keep while we figure out how canonical this will be regarded in the future. But, like, go even further. Don't worry as much about being respectful, because this is just me projecting, I don't know, but I almost wonder, like, maybe they're trying to be a little too respectful to the stoicism and to a certain type of language. Nah, just go in, really go in on characters, take some swings, take some chances. You might upset more people, but you might also gain more people to what you're doing that's interesting in this room.
This has to be exciting.
Yeah.
This has to be exciting and emotionally gripping. And for some, I see on social media, for some, it does hit those marks. And that's great for you. I don't think this is a majority consensus that, like most people, I don't feel like we have a minority opinion.
No.
And nor do I share that other opinion about anything with a woman being woke. Like, I don't share that side.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of what the storytelling is and how that's being displayed, I don't feel like we have necessarily an unpopular opinion about stuff. But I do want to acknowledge that there is a complete opposite side where people really are in love with this show, and that's great. That's really great to have that. I see something like this though, and I'm like, these last 2 episodes really need to be like $60 million.
I know. And then you start to forget about those high production values in the wake of things like that, and they can sometimes work against. I mean, that's the thing is I think, the filmmaking, barring some pace issues some of the times, is usually pretty epic, pretty world class, and I can see some people really latching onto it from that perspective.
You know what a lot of this feels like lately in this show to me? It feels like the first half of the two towers where it's just like a slow dark drama without any of the really compelling darkness that movie had. It's just like a drama, like a
well, because you're watching so many people be tested, and I think that those movies, not to always harp this, but I think those movies had a better grip on even your heroes, even your cipher characters have conflict and deteriorate and really have to go through the hard battle of choosing to do good and do the right thing and follow the mission. And people get corrupted and people experience remorse. Whereas I feel like here you have characters who are presented nobly, maybe misunderstood from the outside, but from your narrative perspective, you're never given reason to suspect they might waver. You just know to trust their judgment because they, are these archetypical characters. And, I feel like that gray, not everything needs to be anti-heroes and like really grungy gray areas, but I think that harshness of the entire undertaking needs to be applied to the beauty of everything. And I feel like we only check in with that harshness when we, go check in with the orcs.
Yeah, I think you check in with the darkness when it's like, this is a dark scene because there's violence happening.
There's a shadow, and we got either wargs or orcs or something.
Yeah, like it's a physically dark scene.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's the thing is I feel like the most effective elements, I feel like maybe, like sometimes the physical elements are what sweep people up the most. And I feel like that's probably where I would imagine that's what works for the people it works for the most.
Yeah, I think I just need everything to kind of. I would end up with just saying I feel like I'm getting this craving for things just to hit harder.
Yeah.
Of okay, Arondir and God Brownie
Bronwyn
Arondir and Bronwyn. I want to feel the desolation and the fear. I want to feel the fear of what they're dealing with. I want to feel the desperation of what they're stacked up against. I want to feel that with the people of Numenor. Again, those same emotions of like, I want to feel why they're going to war, why they have to fight, what they're afraid of, instead of just laying out like facts about things. And we gotta fight.
Yeah. Why are these people fighting to protect and to vanquish?
I want that, like why we must rise up, why we must band together. What will happen if we don't? And as opposed to just like people talking council all the time.
Yeah.
We need that punch, and we're not quite there, and we're 5 episodes in. And I'm just like, everything's just been fine.
It's always about to take off, except for episode 4, which felt like it was actually taking off.
Like even in the 2 Towers, when the people of Rohan fought, like joined the battle in the end of the movie, I'm like, we've only met them in this movie,
Yeah.
But when they joined, you're like,
Because the debate is really palpable, and you see where everyone's coming from, even if you agree with certain people more than others, and then you get that huge catharsis when they actually do make the choice.
You can feel what it is of why they were afraid to join the fight, and then now they're in the fight. There's like this elf who dies in the 2 Towers in this like really slow-mo way, and I'm like, I don't even know who this elf is, but when those elves show up in that fight, you're like, they joined the fight. They didn't think it'd be happening, but here they are.
Dude, my man, let's do it.
Because you're so enwrapped in, like, oh god,
now it feels
Aragorn,
impossible.
Legolas, and Gimli have to lead these people into a fight that seems like there's no real odds in their favor.
Yeah, it convinces you that this is all we have, and we just got to work with it, rather than leaving you to go, no, they'll show up. We just got to figure out how it's going to happen.
I guess that's what we need. Is like we need to feel we really need to feel the odds stacked against them, and we need to feel how just horrendous and desperate everyone is. And maybe it'll get there, but right now it just feels like talking heads about politics. Like even for Isildur, I'm like, what the? It's hard for me to get him. Like I like him. He's like passably likable. but there's like no real emotion for me of like, why do you, I'm kind of with his dad, like, what's your deal? Like, why do you want to fight?
You seem really
you seem like you're just
aimless.
trying to make a name for yourself because you want to make a name for yourself, as opposed to you're fighting for something you believe in that you need to be a part of, or else you're going to regret not having been a part of this fight for your people. Like, that's not the impression I get.
Yeah, I was with his friends when he goes to ask him his buddy to sneak him on the guy, the lieutenant guy.
I want a good reputation. I want to look good.
No,
like,
this time I'll get with it this time. I promise.
That's what it seems. It doesn't feel like there's something truly inspiring about
a real character
about
change within
overcoming odds with anyone here. And it's bumming me out.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the basis of your big war fantasy idea is just what are the odds you got to overcome, and then you rouse people up and you get together, and here we are. Let's kick some ass. Like, that's about as simple as it gets.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, the way they've drawn Isildur so far, he just kind of feels a bit like a flippant character, well, I guess I screwed up. Well, what's my next opportunity? Joining this Royal Guard thing? All right, I guess I'll volunteer for that.
Yeah, like, this is our chance to meet Isildur, and Isildur was more interesting in the movies as a man of, like, the man who could have been the savior.
Yeah.
And like, oh, what was he? And then he gave into the ring. It felt like the 3 minutes of screen time that man has
by now
is way more intriguing than anything we've gotten.
We should at least, see the seeds of his ambition and the seeds of his benevolence. Like, we should at least see a little bit of each of those. And right now we see a bit of. He doesn't seem like a bad guy, so that's benevolence enough, I guess. But
I feel like you got like spoiled Aladdin.
Yeah, that's exactly
it's like
what it
Aladdin
feels
without
like.
the brokenness. is what she got.
Rich Aladdin, who's still doing Aladdin shit, but he doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
He's got all the means necessary to not be doing that.
Like, he's not connected with the people. He seems to try to, like, nepotism his way through life when he can. Yeah, there's things about here. I'm just like, come on, show. I feel like I feel like episode 2 set us up to get everything I'm kind of craving, and then we just, even episode 4, even though I thought that was technically the best one we've gotten so far, didn't even deliver on what I'm talking about. Episode 2 really started setting us up for that of those qualities to start getting that, and it still hasn't quite got there. And if we can just get there, I'd be a happy camper. Just that emotion. I'm just talking about the emotion. If you can just get us to the emotion, then you're set. Like, anything else is like whatever, like, you can argue logistics over this fictional world all you want, but if you can just get the emotion, you can
solve
be
a lot of
an
problems.
engaging show. Yeah.
And you'll shut a lot of people up.
Yeah, emotion's everything.
Yeah,
emotion is literally everything.
Yeah.
And you're just not quite there. And I think you can even do that with stoic characters.
Absolutely, you can.
Stoic people, you can totally pull that off. Ryan Gosling stoiced his way through some of his best roles.
A Ryan Gosling elf. Yeah, no, you absolutely can. Like, it's just about making the shades more subtle, but you gotta put that stuff on the page or let your actors improv it, to some degree, because a lot of the dialogue does feel more, at least in this episode, felt more like beats turned into debates. They felt like debates.
Yeah.
Rather than real conversations and real convictions colliding,
And yeah, if we have stuff to praise, if you've actually stuck around with our little weird journey with this show, we will praise the shit out of things to praise.
And when it works and it's working for us, I feel like we're both pretty overjoyed to say so.
Yeah.
This has been, I am fascinated. This is fun to me, if only for the fact that I haven't had this experience with the show in a while, especially like here in this environment where we're like, man, this is a really like strange up and down journey.
I think next episode has to kick ass.
It has to.
I think episode 6 has to be the ass kicker. Like, I really think that.
The story of this show to me is just constantly being painted into a corner of like, you got to bring greatness now.
And I think your last 3 have to hit home. Otherwise, like, who's going to, you got to start winning over some people. You got to start winning over some people. Like, frankly, here's the thing: is if I do question, like, if we weren't covering this for the channel, would I have really continued with this show, or would I have been like, I didn't get around to it, I fell off. But because we cover for the channel, like, there's a consistency with having to view it, and I do wonder if like I was just on my own, if I would have just dropped the show, out of like, there's other things to watch that are more interesting. So
sure. Well, and as it builds up, it's gotta like, it doesn't even have very much of a form once you get distance from it. Because usually, I mean, with a binge, I'll lose, certain episodes of the line, obviously. But with these ones that are very much separated off, like, even then, it still feels just kind of like a jumble of moments, jumble of scenes.
But anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thanks for sticking around for this long-ass discussion. If you had
coming to our TED Talk.
And subscribe, click that bell, leave a like. We will chat with you all soon. Thank you. What'd you think of the episode? Yeah, that question, too.